Yeah, but if you want to before, hold on, the thing closed, but I have the article about the two directors that I was talking about.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so two directors serving minority students fired at Purdue Northwest. An email was sent out to all Purdue Northwest students Monday announcing the termination of two directors of equity-focused uh, offices at P&W, one primarily for Hispanic students and the other one for black students. But instead of an email coming from the university itself, this announcement came from students protesting the decision. The directors mentioned were Iris Sanchez, who was the head of the Office of Hispanic Serving Institution in, I actually don't know what that word is, and Darian Thompson, Director of Student Success and Urban Engagement. Both leaders have done similar work in student engagement, primarily for Hispanic and black students, respectively.
And they've been in here several times, right?
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, for Purdue Northwest, Purdue, the Purdue Northwest show. Is that just my ears? All right, there it is. It's better now. Um, the they don't do the show during the summer, so I haven't seen Iris. I know Iris Sanchez, so Iris Sanchez is gone. And who's the other guy? Darian.
Darian Thompson.
All right, I'm not. I'm sure I've met Darian. So they were. I guess that was Monday that I would have seen them protesting, and I didn't see anything in the paper. I didn't see anything online.
Seems like they didn't put it out there.
But what is happening here at Purdue Northwest is what is happening at every major college in America is that they are de-emphasizing minority, uh, I guess, departments or the
Yeah.
departments that serve minorities.
So, I mean, like this article was the first thing I've read about it other than my various fellow classmates posting on their social media about it. And from their perspective, it seems as though this is a DEI fire. I don't know, so I'm not going to put my personal opinion on it, but that is what I've been seeing from our fellow students. And they're not happy about it. I've never personally spoken with Iris. I don't know anything about her. I'm sure she's a lovely woman, but it seems like a majority of the student body is not happy with these fires.
So this is happening everywhere, right?
I
So
would assume.
the I guess the progression here is I remember maybe like they really first got a brand new website at Purdue Northwest, right?
Okay.
It was years ago, and it was like not too far long after went from Purdue Cal to Purdue Northwest, and for like a year, they would rotate people on the front page, and it was fairly balanced. There were some men, there were some women, there were some blacks, there were some Hispanics, some Asians, but they would rotate it, and they would put my wife's picture up there as a PNW graduate for a year. And people are like, "Why are you on the front page of PNW?" And I'm like, "Or why is she on there?" I go, "I don't know. She just is." To
Well,
kind of show that you could, go to Purdue Northwest, Purdue Cal, like my wife did. She was already in her 30s, got her degree, went on to law school, and got her law degree at 40. So I think it was kind of I guess maybe a role model to look at.
right. Well, I think what makes people upset is that when we brought this up earlier, is that we identify as an HSI, right? And then we're going and making fires in, those departments uh, to administrators or directors that are, therefore helping the minority causes that we are claiming that we do.
Yeah, but you see, there's another side to that, and that is because of the powers that be in America that were elected, that from what I understand, if you have a DEI office or you have a DEI energy or you're serving specifically minority populations, that you have to get rid of that or you could possibly lose some of your funding. And so you see it all across America. People are like, you know, chancellors and university presidents who may even be a woman or a woman minority or whatever. They're like, dude, we got to get rid of anything to do with inclusion. Otherwise, you know, I don't want to be on the chopping block and not get money. Like Harvard's down $1 billion, and all these places are not getting money because they're kind of standing up and saying, hey, you know what, we want to include everybody. And no. That, you know, that is, you know, it's prejudicial against mostly white people, right? So you have a big tug of war nationally that evidently came to the streets of 173rd over here. I mean, there are, as a university, you got to look at it and go, man, you know, I don't want this hassle. We're already don't have enough money. So you cut 2 positions so that you're off the radar, even though you're the most minority campus in the state of Indiana, if I remember correctly. So you could be a target if you were serving them directly with some sort of office. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So do you think that we should still consider ourselves a Hispanic serving institute, or?
Well, I think
Because I get what you're saying, and I understand the choices that they're
so.
making.
Yeah.
I just wonder, you know, does that therefore affect, you know, what we are portraying ourselves as? Whether or not it's the right decision for the entire
You
school
know,
or not.
it's kind of odd because when they got this HSI designation, Hispanic Serving Institution, it was a big deal. And oh my gosh, we're an HSI. We're over, I think it's over 25% Hispanic is what the cutoff was. And it's probably a third, almost a third probably by now. And it was a big deal. And now it's like, oh, the winds of change have come in and you have to de-emphasize that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, well, hey, you know, we do have a lot of Hispanics, but, you know, we got rid of our, you know, Hispanic director, and then we got rid of our urban affairs, the you know, the mostly black director. So we're
Head
just
of the
making sure
Office
that
of
everybody's
Hispanic
treated
Serving
equally
Institute
now.
Initiatives.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't have an opinion on it. I mean, I do know, just to be direct, you weren't even here when I gave a commencement speech over here, and then the chancellor came after me and tried to do this stupid language I do every day. And I could do it. I can make it sound Hispanic. I can make it sound Asian. I can make it sound Eastern European. I can make it sound African, anything. And I, you know, I've been doing, I'm a, you know, whatever. I could do that. But the chancellor came behind me and it sounded very Asian, like he was making fun of, you know, and he had just got back from Asia. And so it was like an international incident for a while. And it was, I said at the time, I think it was 2022, I said, listen, you know, where's the common sense here? This guy stood up for minorities, populations, and for years and years, and now, you know, there's no common sense, there's no forgiveness. And I said at the time, I said, this is the top of the market. This is the top of the market of wokeism. And cancel, I said, you cannot do this and still remain in power. And that was it, man. That was the top of the market.
Wow.
So there is issues, and PNW did not like being in the, you know, in the spotlight for such an incident, and by firing these people, which I didn't see anything. So the protesters, that's where we're getting our news, they're avoiding that problem. And you gotta keep your money flowing, and you don't necessarily want to be in like some big fight with the Trump administration. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see both sides of it, but what is the message to Hispanics and blacks that want to go to Purdue Northwest?
Right.
I'm sure the administration would be like, you know, let's not talk about it, and let's just let this go past, and let's just do what we do. Everybody's treated equally and that kind of thing. But there is a message there. And I I don't know what that is. Hey, let's take some phone calls, see how
Yeah, we
things
got
are.
3 of them, so.
All right, let's go. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
I'm a little aggravated listening to you this morning and some of these callers. I mean, you know, is it time to divide the country? I don't see everybody coming together in the future. I really don't. Everybody's taking the hard line. And with good buddy mine, like he says, you could do it without firing a shot. You could have your red states and your blue states. If you want abortion, if you like high taxes, if you want high crime, move to a blue state, move to Illinois.
So go back to your first question. Is it time to divide the country? Explain.
Well, why not? I mean, how long is this going to go on? There's no compromise there. Neither side's compromising. Everybody's taking the hard line. So what is that going to accomplish? You might as well divide the country. You're not going to convince either side. You've got extreme people on the right. You got extreme people on the left. You got 4 years of goofy Joe Biden and the stuff that he was passing, and the guy was wandering around and didn't even know what planet he was on. Yeah, there are people that support Trump. Why? Because they feel like they've been mistreated. They weren't being recognized. They worked their asses off, pay all these taxes for what?
I agree. I agree that
Okay.
is what attracts people, and that I just said, that was the top of the market. That the wokeism of the East Coast is just not going to be able to. It should not be in power, and it isn't. You got an East Coast guy, but certainly it's the opposite of wokeism going on right now. But when does it go too far?
Well, I think it's too far now. I mean, look what's happening in Chicago. I got news for that guy that says, "Oh, I live in Porter County, but go to Chicago. Oh, it's so wonderful." Listen, a good friend of mine, good friends of his, were coming back from a Sox game last year on the Dan Ryan. Bullet came through the windshield, hit his wife in the head, and killed her. Now, she wasn't the intended target, the cops said. They said that bullet could have come from a mile away, was a stray. But I guess they weren't being vigilant, were they? I mean, I think the last thing on their mind...
First of all, I'm sorry for your friend. I mean, that's awful.
It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I'm sure they didn't plan on one of them not coming home from a Sox game, but it was on the Dan Ryan.
So hold on a second. So your buddy and his wife go to a Sox game. They're coming home on the Dan Ryan. They get shot in the passenger window or whatever.
Came through the windshield.
Through the windshield.
Yeah, hit his wife in the head.
Hit the wife in the head, and she died.
Yeah, the husband was driving. She died. Yes.
Well, that's a pretty strong message to not go to a Sox game. Right?
Well, you can't blame the Sox. The crime is out of control. Okay? You're not prosecuting people. The only thing that deters crime is punishment. You don't have that in Chicago. Oh, no cash bail. Oh, we're going to put an electronic monitor on your ankle that nobody's going to be monitoring, by the way, and turn you loose to go do this again. That's what's happening. That shooting yesterday, 4 people killed, 14 people wounded on River North. Well, what's up with that? Second time in 2 years? Why is that place even open?
So,
by
the way,
all right,
so you said you were disappointed in me or whatever. In what way?
Well, come on, man. I mean, you're leaning to the left, Dad. You got to listen to yourself talk sometimes. You lean to the left. Just admit it. I respect you for that.
Well, there's probably, when someone's in power, you get to, you tend to criticize them in power, because I'll be straight with you. I lost a lot of listeners when Joe Biden was in power, and I was very critical of him and his, like you said, he was losing his faculties, and that, his policies weren't working. And, I was, people were accusing me personally of leaning to the right. And I understand that, because whoever's in power, you're always looking at what they're doing and say, well, what about this? What about that? And I get it. And you can categorize it in your head, and I'll respect that. But, I can tell you that I'm just calling balls and strikes. And if somebody's in charge, we're going to call balls and strikes on him, and then people are like, oh, you don't like Trump. Like, what do you mean? Sometimes he does right. Sometimes some of the stuff needs to be analyzed. But to get back to your point of what you're basically pointing at what we do here and that, how are we ever going to come together or whatever. I do believe that, I hired a consultant a while ago, and the guy said, well, you got to pick one side, Jed. You're never going to be able to exist letting everybody talk like you want to. And I said, well, that's too bad, because if I can't do that, we're not doing this. We're not doing the radio. Because everybody, it has to be here. You have to be able to voice your opinion from both sides, 3 or 4 sides. And it has to continue on. And that at some point we will come back to where this is the norm and not people shouting at each other and hating each other.
Well, to me, it goes back to when they repealed the broadcast doctrine that said you had to show both sides.
You're right. You're huge.
I never understood that. Yeah. I never understood why they repealed that, because you listen to the news and it was unbiased. It wasn't somebody's opinion. It wasn't representative of the station. It was the news. Good or bad, you were going to hear it, the truth. Today, who do you believe, Jed? You don't know who to believe.
Exactly.
Where do you get the information?
Yeah, but
Facebook,
you see, you can't give up on pursuit of trying to be accurate. You can't give up on pursuit of trying to hear everybody's myriad opinions. You can't give up on that. You can't just say, well, I'm going to be on the Trump side or I'm going to be on the left, and that's it. I hate the other side. It's easy to do that. It's easy. But to actually make your own decisions every day about how you feel about something, it can be overwhelming. And maybe that's part of the problem.
One of my best friends is Hispanic, okay? He was born in Texas, so he was a citizen, okay? But he came to Chicago when he was 8 years old, went to school till he was 14, dropped out of school, lived in a boxcar, Jed, from the age of 8 to 12. He lived in a boxcar. He worked at the DeJong Farms in Lansing, picking spinach or whatever, tomatoes. Got a job at 16 at a factory in Chicago Heights, lied about his age, got on as a laborer, went to a machinist in Chicago Heights and said, can you teach me how to be a machinist? He said, tell you what, you come here every day after work and you work for me from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 8 o'clock at night, 6 days a week for free for 3 years. He goes, and I'll teach you how to be a machinist. And he did that for 3 years, every single day, Monday through Saturday, 4 to 8, worked that night for this guy. And this guy, he became very successful. I mean, he's one of my best friends. I admire what he's accomplished. And like he said, the problem today is people don't want to put in the work. He goes, was I discriminated against? Sure. There's some people that didn't like me. He says, but once they saw how hard I worked, I earned their respect, and they showed me respect. And you know what? Like that's the American dream. You agree?
Absolutely. I mean, but I do disagree with you on that one tenet, that it may seem right now that we are so far divided, that there is so much hate on both sides, that there can never be an American reconciliation of any kind, okay? And we're just going to exist like this forever. And I'm telling you that I have a different outlook on that. I think, yeah, fine, I'll enjoy the discussion and the discord, and I kind of like it to some extent, but at some point we will reconcile a lot of our differences, and that's how I look at it. It's happened before in America, right?
Yeah, with a civil war.
With a civil war, and then you had all sorts of issues going into World War I, and then we didn't they were dealing with fascism and that kind of stuff then. And then all of a sudden we came together for a war, then we came together for another war, and then we were completely divided in the 1960s, right? And then we kind of came together again, right? I don't foresee this as our future forever. No.
Well, something's going to happen, and I hope it's not a civil war. I would rather see the country split between the blue and the red states than have a civil war. But if something's going to happen, this is not going to go on.
Well, you know what? The one thing that we all don't even want to talk about happening, right? Is a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody wants to even
Very
mention
true.
that. I'll probably get the FCC flag for even saying it. But that's a fear that is the underlying tone of all of us. I mean, this could all mean nothing. Anyways, I don't want to go on to that. Thanks for the phone call.
Hey, man, take care.
Talk to you.